It's week 2 live at Camp FIRE Midwest. It's the Extreme Personal Finance Show. My guest today is Amy, and what's really great is that she's going to talk about a very special place. This place is in the United States, and it's interesting because this place, it seems to be talked about more and more, and it's kind of like the running joke in the personal finance space, a place where all people seem to go. Amy, where is this place?
This is Longmont, Colorado.
That's awesome. So I need to ask, why are so many people attracted to Longmont?
Because it's awesome is the first thing that comes to mind. I think we all have kind of come to know it as like the FIRE Mecca, right? That's the joke. I can tell you that the way I learned about its existence at all was initially on Pete's blog, on Mr. Money Mustache. So he had an article at one point, I just looked it up, it was in 2014, and it was called Stash Town, USA. That's the article, where he expounds on like why Longmont is so great and everything he loves about it and its proximity to the mountains and the great weather and the cute little downtown, and although I'm sure he did not use the word cute, and all those types of things. So Longmont is all of what he said and more.
Okay.
I would say.
Right on. So how long have you been there?
I've been there a little over 5 years now.
5 years. And where did you move from?
So mostly I have lived in Michigan, but I took a 1-year detour to San Francisco. And that's actually when the pandemic came, was toward the end of my lease on this 1 year in San Francisco. And it was like, okay, not going to stay here. There was a span where I did not leave the apartment for 14 days, right? It was very scary on the street. Like we didn't have tests or vaccines. So the idea of moving somewhere else was very appealing. And my husband at the time, my now late husband, and I were like, well, we don't want to go back to Michigan and we don't want to stay here. So what's next? And I was like, well, what about this Longmont, Colorado thing? Like after years by that point of having read Pete's blog and, listening to the podcast sometimes and knowing about it, it was like, well, that seems worth checking out. And we had a little bit of family in Colorado. So we took like a reconnaissance trip. Essentially, this was the first week of March in 2020. And we thought, okay, if we like it, then we'll take another trip back later to find somewhere to live. The travel in the Bay Area shut down, I think about 3 days after we got back home. But we had decided at the airport on the way back to California, like, we're doing this. We're moving to Longmont, Colorado. There was a very like specific bench in a park that we had sat down on and been like, wow, this is gorgeous. We love everything about this. We had done a tour of HQ with Carl Jensen, one of the co-owners.
So explain a little bit about HQ.
Okay, so HQ is officially called Mustache HQ.
Got it.
It's technically a co-working space, but honestly functions more like a social club.
Okay.
So you can have a membership, and as a member, you get certain benefits. We do events. We do some events that are public, but we do some events that are members only. And we have a weekly potluck, and we tend to gather on lots of holidays. We generally do Christmas Eve together. There is a tool library where you can borrow tools. People are always borrowing a trailer for, things they're doing on their houses. So HQ is the physical space that sort of embodies much of the broader FI community we have in Longmont. If we're having an event, it's very often at HQ. We sort of use that as a shorthand all the time.
But to be honest, not everyone in Longmont is part of the FIRE community.
That's true, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like our town, I think it's about 100,000 people. On any given day, if I'm, say, downtown in my favorite restaurant on Main Street, which is by a window, and I'm like looking out the window, it is not uncommon for me to see somebody I know, usually a fellow HQ person, walking down the street. And sometimes there's like, oh, we're knocking on the window. Hey, what are you doing? Do you want to come in? It's very like Mayberry-esque. So yes, obviously not all of Longmont is FI oriented, but we do a great job, I think, of making the community smaller, and I mean that in a good way. Mm-hmm. It's more accessible, it's more manageable. When you move to town, you have this built-in network of friends. We have a Discord server that we share with channels for everything. There's one that's for like hiking on Thursday mornings, specifically. It's called like Thursday Hike, Bike, and Beer. And the people who are retired, because lots of us are out there like going for hikes on Thursday mornings. And there's a pickleball channel and a buy nothing channel. And it really does a great job of like gluing us all together in the best possible way.
So really, it's the community itself that makes Longmont so special.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we do have like wonderful natural features, of course. It is 20 minutes to Boulder and the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So that's beautiful. The weather in general is lovely and not humid, and there aren't many bugs, and we don't get too much snow, and the winters are mild. So, like, these are all big pros. But it truly, you're absolutely right, Chris. Like, it is the community that makes it what it is.
Awesome. I love to hear that. And there's a community member that you are actually working with, you're going to collaborate with
Yes.
on a really cool project. And I want you to share a little bit about that. What you can share. Share what that project is.
Sure. Thank you. So many of you probably know Mark Trautman of Mark's Money Mind. So he's got a podcast. He comes to lots of Camp FIs. He's like a really amazing pillar of our community. He also just moved to Longmont last January after being in Crested Butte for years. So I had this idea. I've had it in my head for kind of a while that I wanted to create something for a very specific purpose. So, and this started out very selfishly. I have 5 nieces, and they're starting to become like college age. And I have tried at various points to talk with them about financial independence and finances in general. And it's kind of like, okay, sure, Aunt Amy, like whatever. And having been now to multiple Camp FIs and having experienced the community in Longmont, I know that one of the secret ingredients to FI success is community and is like peers. So I thought that I would like to create something that gives college age kids their own FI community, and that equips them with the education they need to know like about FI and how to get there and the magic of compounding if they start at 22 versus 32 and all of that good stuff, but also that connects them with other people that are in their own cohort, in their own age group, who don't have enormous salaries yet, but they can all sort of connect together and be put on this path. So in my career, I have a pretty deep background in things like event production and management, retreats, organizing offsites, summer camps, that kind of thing. What I don't have is like official on paper finance education experience. And Mark does.
Yeah.
So he's a CFP and he's taught this to high school kids now for years in Crested Butte. So I approached him after he moved to Longmont and I was like, Mark, now that you're here, you're the man I've been waiting for. Like, let me tell you about this idea and are you interested? And he was like, yes, I'm totally in. So this is something that we are calling Mountains and Money. And the idea is to turn it into sort of part vacation, part education.
Oh, interesting.
So that the kids actually want to do it. It's
Okay.
not like, oh, it's your summer and go to this 3-day boring, dry financial workshop. It's like, oh, it's your summer. Go out to Colorado. You're going to spend some time in the mountains. You're going to get to do cool things. And you're going to learn about financial independence and meet some of the people in this community and like see examples of the kinds of lives you can live if you become financially independent. So that's the goal.
I love that. Do you have a trick to helping younger people have that future self in mind? Like delayed gratification, like delayed, it's hard for them to see past next Friday.
It is. And I wish I had a trick.
Okay.
Like, I wish I had a great answer for that. The reality is I don't. What I'm hoping is that what Mark and I are working on and what we create will be some sort of secret sauce that combines these things like peer mentorship and community plus like, adult and official mentorship and fun and vision, really. Like we have a very loose outline that I'm not totally ready to share yet, but we're looking at 3 days of content sort of loosely based on a lot of vision work around like, what could your life be?
Yeah.
Think about if you don't have to work for 60 years, but instead you can work for 10 or 15. Like, what does that give you? And can we get you excited enough about that so that you'll listen to this like stuff we have to say about Roth IRAs and compound interest? Like, that's the challenge. I don't know how it's going to go.
Okay. Well, my 25-year-old, if he didn't have to work, he would just then play video games more often.
Hmm.
So I don't know if
I mean, that's real.
I guess, yeah.
That some people, maybe that's their rich life,
Yeah.
right? Playing video games all the time.
He needs to see the sun. Come on. That's awesome. So can you share anything about when this might kind of take shape?
Yes, we are looking at July in Longmont. So we are hoping to utilize the HQ space. It will not be inclusive in the way that Camp FI is, where you stay there and then you're doing your content during the day. It will be more like economy, where like yes, you'll need to arrange your housing and whatnot, but you being the kids will attend these 3 days of programming, which will be, scheduled from morning to night, and everything will be included in terms of meals and transportation. And then we'll pull in lots of the amazing guest speakers that we have access to in Longmont. And nobody's committed yet, so I'm not ready to mention names,
Sure.
but I'm sure you can imagine some of the ones that, will hopefully be on the roster.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it would be cool to get some younger people to talk. Emma.
Emma and I actually chatted about that today while I was doing her hair.
Yes. That's awesome. Well, Amy, I'm really excited about this project. I think, again, more people, I always try to, here at Camp FI, we always say it'd be great to get more younger people involved so they understand they don't have to live that same boring, path that their parents had or grandparents had, right?
Exactly, yeah. We don't need to accept the default.
Yeah.
Right? We want to inspire and show the possibilities beyond that. So that's the goal. That's what we're aiming to do.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And thank Mark
I will.
for doing that, because that's awesome. Yeah, tell him I said yo. And then thanks for sharing a little bit about the magic that is Longmont. I mean, I do want to move somewhere that's not 20 below zero. And so I don't know. Colorado I visited. I don't know if I want to live there. We'll see.
That's fair. And if I could add one more thing about the magic of Longmont, the way that we all look out for each other is really lovely. And I have an absolutely perfect example of that.
Okay.
That came in via text message about 10 minutes ago.
No way.
Yes. So many of you know the Jensens, Carl and Mindy. Carl is Mr. 1500.
Yep.
Yeah. Woo-hoo! 1500days.com. And then we have Mindy of the Bigger Pockets podcast. And I'm very lucky to call them both dear friends, and their daughters too. And one of their daughters is right now staying at my house watching my cat. And so because she's there, Carl and Mindy have been, back and forth too, and they're at my house all the time. But just now, Carl sends me this photo, and it's of my air conditioner, which is like kind of coated in dust and grime. And he says, "Hi, Amy. I just noticed your air conditioning condenser is pretty filthy. I would hose it off if you can. It'll run cheaper and more efficiently."
I love that. Well, you should send him a text saying, "Yeah, go ahead and please hose it off." That's what a real friend would do. You hear that, Carl? No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome. That's really cool. Well, Amy, thanks again for joining me on today's episode. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for listening, for following along. And thanks, everyone, here at Camp FI. Yeah.